I'm alive. I am alive. Hello. Hello. Everybody is alive. Pop up, say hello. Um, it is 2:34 a.m. in Montana. So I'm pretty much guaranteed nobody's going to be watching this. So I'm like, yes. I started making videos because I have had a lifelong fear of being on camera. It's the only reason I make them. Otherwise, I post blogs. I write shit. So, hello. I have been down. I have advanced thyroid stuff, and we may have found a medication that's actually working. I've had some anxiety and upset stomach, and I've lost like 15 pounds. And if you find it, I don't want it back. Um, but it occurred to me that some of this, the anxiety and the nervousness, is very possibly a metabolism coming back. Now, I haven't had a metabolism for 13 years, so that takes some getting used to. It also, here in Montana, ooh, where'd my hair go? It's We had some unseasonably warm weather like last week. So whenever the temperature fluctuates like it does in Montana, I have a really old neck injury that's now covered up with, years of not taking care of it, whatever. It's a kind of a compression fracture. And there's like some nerve damage that goes on here. I go down. I mean, it fucking hurts. But when we go from winter to spring, something pollinates. I'm thinking it's a mold, and asthma kicks in, breathing stuff kicks in. So, yeah, I go down. And I don't go on social media or anything like that. And because frankly, I tend to be a bitch. So I'm not worth being around. I mean, the name is barbed wire for a reason. Okay. So anyway, I've been looking through uh, Facebook because I admin. Shit, I had it too. Just say I admin 9 groups and like 4 pages. One of the pages covers an entire country. So it can have 60,000 entries in a day, depending on what's going on in that country. So I have a lot of shit I have to look through before I can even go to my own timeline. And so it'll take me quite a while. And usually I've got a lot of messages, so and so did this or this is going on. And as I was looking around today, uh, well, we all see just the one thing, right? And I want to address that a bit from the perspective that I tend to have, which is what I used to call left field, but it's actually pretty much a spirit's perspective also, as well as the perspective of someone who went and lived in nature, studied nature on nature's terms. And I don't always see things the way other people see it, is the deal. I'm Weyoda. I'm Weyoda, and that means the place where the river is. I'm not the river. I'm not the water. That's the ancestors. That's the infinite. I'm just the place where it is. So think of it like a cosmic garden hose. And I've spent 50 years studying and gaining skills to be the clearest, cleanest garden hose that you can have. So I've spent several hours going through Facebook. I didn't even look at Instagram. I didn't even look at Twitter. Sometimes I just can't. Um, my health and my spiritual center is my priority these days. Um, for those who've never watched, I was in a very abusive, toxic living situation. I called like 5 people and said, "I need help." All 5 responded, 3 showed up, and I now am in another city. I am back with my tribe, my people, and I don't mean tribe like as in I'm native, I mean tribe as in I'm in Butte, America, and my priority has been given to me that I am to get better. That is my priority. And they have done everything to facilitate that, unlike these other people who were like, "Well, why didn't you do this? And why haven't you made money doing that?" This is completely different over here. There's also been some pretty serious family stuff going on. I have never had a family. Um, I had a group of people who were related to me by blood who were out to get everything they could, but I have never known family except to watch other people. So to be included is a big deal to me, and I have been sick as fuck. So it's been very hard for me to interact. When I get in a place like that, I go down. I mean, my neck hurts. It won't tolerate the weight of my head. All kinds of weird shit happens, but basically, I just lay in bed and keep the weight off my head, off my neck. I watch a lot of anime, watch a lot of videos, a lot of documentaries, um, audiobooks. Constantly feeding my spirit, but um, the body. So for me to be sitting up right now is amazing. Go Advair. So what I saw looking around social media after not being on for like 2 weeks. Well, we all know what's going on. Today is March the 14th. I really wanted to do it on Friday the 13th, but couldn't get my shit together. Um, I mentioned in another video that some of us came into this world and we have always been in a way of knowing that something is going to happen in this lifetime. There are those of us who it was beaten into us that that's not real, that's just mental illness, that you're just making that up, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of people who bought that. There are those of us who didn't. And for this lifetime, for me to say, I have always been in a way of knowing that something is going to happen, something big, and that I have a part in that. And that's why I'm here. I have known this as long as I have known that I'm alive. I mean, I remember being 4.5 years old thinking about it. Um, I also learned at a very young age that you don't fucking talk about it. But that doesn't mean I stopped thinking about it. And it has guided my entire life. Um, Other people pursued careers, went to school, raised family. I tried the raising family thing, failed miserably, but I had nothing to go by. Um, I chose to pursue that knowledge that would enhance whatever is going to happen because I remember knowing as a small kid that I was going to have to learn everything I could possibly learn about spirit and about spirits and about um, everything because I would have to know it when I saw it and that I would be one of the first to recognize it for what it was. Now, this actually happened in like 2011 or something um, in a live stream chat with about 3,000 people watching across 10 different live streams. But um, 3 wise men did not show up when I was born. So I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to save anybody. for whatever it is that I'm supposed to do, I just needed to be able to recognize it, and so that meant that I made choices that took me into those circles of knowing, whereas other people, like I say, they knew about it, but they made their choices. I gotta have a house, I gotta have a car, I gotta have this, I gotta have a job, gotta go to school, gotta do that. Other people made those choices. I chose spirit. It's really that simple. And I don't judge anybody for not doing it. Um, Nothing like that. I say what I say to offer what I learned. That's it. And I don't even care if anybody does it or not. So I made a few notes. Um, Looking through Facebook and the groups that I admin, one in particular is a group for crunts, for elder women of knowledge who have spent our lives doing the same thing, living a spiritual life that is outside, dogmatic religion, whatever. Um, it's a really cool group, and it's grown to like 500 and something people now. And I'm like, uh, but I read through that group, believe it or not, pretty thoroughly. Um, and I sense a few things, and that's what I wanted to address. That's what I wanted to talk about because I know that I'm not the only crone thinking about things. I love that now. I'm a fucking crone. How the fuck did that happen? Um, Shooting for Endora, wound up like Aunt Clara. So there you go. But either way, I did make it on a whole lot of really, really talented, brilliant women that I studied with in different traditions and different places haven't. So I owe it to them because they are a part of who I am now. I owe it to them to continue to live as clean and as straight of eye as I can. So that's the spirit in which this gets going. And as you can see, it's already longer than most people's Facebook or YouTube videos. Oh, one thing. I received some messages on Facebook from people who I am just going to say are really, really sweet people. Come over here and I will show you how to make, raise your audience and, how to do ever with, get more people. Um, Thank you. That's very kind. I'm not sure I'm not sure I am a product, and I'm not sure I'm interested in marketing. I'm not sure I'm just not sure that I want to take all that effort. Um, we'll see how this goes. This is just a warrior facing a warrior's fear and trying to be of service at the same time right now. But thank you. And I did make notes of everybody, contact me, all that. Some of my videos get a lot of views and some of them get barely any. I don't know that I care either way, frankly, right now. And yeah, I'm playing with my hair. Um, but it is sweet that they would say, I could really help you. What I notice about YouTube in the couple of years I've been watching it is they all look alike. And I'm not like anyone else. So I don't know that many of those tips and tricks are going to help me. I do have editing software and all that. And, at my age and being chronically ill, I don't know how much time I have left in this world. And I'm not sure I want to spend it learning some damn software to edit a video because people don't have an attention span. People not having an attention span isn't really my problem. So, but I do want to say thank you. And I will take it as honestly and openly given offer of help. And the fact that anybody who doesn't know me watched it actually kind of flipped me out a bit. I expect my stalkers to watch it. They're scared shitless, so I'm going to tell on them. I told on them months ago. That's already under investigation. It's all out of my hands. It's in the hands of authority. I don't have to worry about any of that. So, I made some video notes in my journal. Uh, looking through Facebook, and it really did take all afternoon, really, because we have family stuff going on, and it's serious family stuff. I mean, literally life and death type stuff, not drama or anything like that. And I don't know how to be a part of that yet, and I don't know how to receive that kind of inclusion yet. So that's important to me that I learn to hold that space and at least do my best with that first. The first thing, here's mark number one in my notes. Let's just calm the fuck down. Okay. Um, when you read this stuff on social media, where is your breathing? How do you insulate yourself from this constant toxic barrage of probability? So I want to address that first and real fast, just real fast. Breathe with me for a minute. Now, this is something I used to teach all my students. Very important. If you get a chance, watch a baby breathe. And I mean a baby, I mean earlier than 3 years old. I'm talking infant, I'm talking drooling, petri dish. Watch them breathe. Now, reach down on your belly and find your belly button. And you're going to want at least 3 fingers below the belly button. If you have a larger belly like me, you might take all 4. That you're looking for what is called the 1 point. And that's usually 3 fingers below the belly button. Put your fingers on that. That is your center of breath. That is your center of gravity. Women's is lower than men. It's in a different place than men. I know this because my ex and I did vertical cave rescue, so we know about, um, ascending and descending and all that. And I had to make a woman's harness for ascending because some of the caves in Georgia, like Cemetery Pit, is something like 250 feet and it's straight rope. And if you don't have the right kind of harness, a woman will flip right over. Um, when you read this stuff in Facebook, what I notice going on is people start breathing up in their chest. And that's usually fear. If it's up in your throat, then it's anxiety, whatever. But if it's in your chest, it's not centered. So we're going to do a little breath thing just really fast. So put your fingers, 3 fingers down, and just poke like 1 finger. Like I've just got my ring finger. The index finger's on my navel, and then 1, 2, 3, and it's my ring finger because I don't trust my pinky. But just press in. I mean, I know where my 1 point is, but I'm just telling you guys, and you'll learn. So when you breathe, when you inhale, that expands. Sorry, you can't suck in your gut and breathe like a normal human being. And when you inhale, that is where you inhale from. You inhale from the bottom of your lungs up. That's how you think it. I'm not saying it's how it works. I'm not a doctor. Fuck that shit. So I always start when I catch myself, up in that, up here. I do a cleansing breath, and that's just, and you literally just blow it out, just like a horse when they get done running, and a horse will stand in there. That's what they're doing. It cleanses the energy body and it shakes it up, and that's what you want. You want it shook up because you want your breath to return to your center. And then you just fucking inhale. I mean, you can do the breathe in for 4, hold like in neutral. Don't hold it like, but just let it stay for like a count of 2 and then exhale. And when you exhale, that point is going to come out again. So you inhale and you exhale in the nose, out through the mouth, and do like 4 or 5 of those. And watch what happens with this feeling. And normally we would do 3 of those breaths, just poking that spot underneath the navel, and then drop. And you'll feel it. Because it's like a whoop. Keep your weight beneath you. The only place the body has weight is where it touches a surface. Doing that breath is breathing in the 1 point. This guy I knew with like, God, I don't even remember. I think he had 15 black belts. He was like, talk about obsessive with martial arts, but he taught me a lot about breath. Now, my mother taught Kundalini yoga, so I know a lot of those breaths too. But what I learned from him is mostly Shinto. Or yes, I hope I'm saying that right, Shinto and not Shinto, but Shinto. And it works in a pinch and it works in a hurry. It takes about 3 breaths. So that's just and when I used to start like a talk or, teaching thing, whatever, is so we close our eyes. We're going to do 3 of those breaths, and we're going to picture a blue circle. Sometimes it was a triangle, a blue circle. I like to picture it like a gas stove, just a fire. But that's just me. I mean, you can do your own special effects. But just to get the whole group thinking of a blue circle or a blue triangle and doing that breath and then drop. And then the one thing that we remember the entire time we're online, you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are an eternal being of light housed in a biological energy computer. In order to experience form, we must experience space and time. It's how we locate the self within this dimension. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are not their thoughts. And it's always good to pull back and remember that. At first, in the beginning, you might have to do like me and walk around with Post-it notes fucking everywhere. I remember doing that. I remember being first pissed off that I didn't come up with Post-it notes because I took printing in high school. But also then once they got invented, I mean, I actually wrote it on the mirror in the house because they didn't have Post-it notes in the 60s. Here I am 11 years old, but you do it enough and it becomes habit. One thing that grandfather and grandmother down in Hopi would say to me a lot was, pour my coffee because they love to see me hyper. They pour my coffee and watch your breathing, granddaughter. And she'd just keep on walking. It'll be like, and I would be like, okay, stop, stop, stop. And I would have to get up, walk out of his courtyard because, it's Hopi. They don't actually meet in the house. They're like out, in front of the house, whatever, depending on what house we're talking about. And I would have to leave everybody sitting there and go walk away 40 or 50 feet and just go, okay, I am in the center of the fucking world. I am in Hopi, America. I'm in the 4th world, the 3rd world. And this is happening. And I would have to just go, and then go back and sit down and hang out with them. They thought I was hilarious. To them, I was a ping pong ball in a tornado, and they kept feeding me instant coffee. So what the fuck did they expect, right? So anyway, it takes discipline to remember to do that through the day. Watch my breathing. Where is my breathing? I had a Post-it note on my steering wheel of the car. I had a Post-it note at work. I had them all over at work. I had Post-it notes all through the house, in books. that I would just open a book and, oh, there it'd be, like a bookmark. I had them all over the place, and that was how I learned to do it. But the most important thing about how I learned to do that was reading Seth, reading the stuff I read as a kid, making the decision that I didn't wanna read books about somebody else doing cool shit. I wanted to go do it. I knew that I needed to do it. And so I didn't just read about things. I read about something Seth talked about, and I went out and did it, or I integrated it right then. So I know that I had a huge head start with other people. So anyway, calm the fuck down. Okay, number 2. Let's get real. First, and I realize I forget where I'm supposed to look because I don't have a camera yet. Um, first, um, I often make this mistake, and I have made this mistake since I was a kid, since I was a teenager, and that is I often talk to other people as if I'm talking to other warriors. We have our own way of being with each other and our own way of being honest, dead honest about things, which is why AA was like it was like great for me. AA is a warrior path, and if you don't have a fast warrior path, you don't have time to read a bunch of books and find your teacher, go to a fucking AA meeting. Because the 12 steps, the 12 traditions, that's a warrior path. It's not something you can read a book and go, okay, I did it. Yeah, I'm a warrior now. That's not the way I did it. I know a lot of people who did do it that way. And I know a lot of people who write books who did it that way. But I didn't study what I studied to write books. I didn't study what I studied to get famous and give talks and then walk away. I studied what I studied because it's what I came here to do. So I have a little different approach. But even as a teenager reading Seth, while everybody else is reading whatever everybody else is, I don't even know what people my age read. Um, Even then, it wasn't a matter of just reading about it and then like go and read The Hobbit. This was something you applied. So that's another difference. So now we're gonna get real and I'm gonna talk to you like a warrior. So if you can't handle it, turn it off. It's okay. We need to get real about a few things. Besides the came in this world knowing that something was going to happen, there are also obvious and blatant signs within nature that are being ignored that we can't ignore anymore. And that is there's too many people. Bottom line, there's too many people. What does nature do when a species overpopulates an area, an environment, a bias, or whatever the fuck science people call it? What does nature do? She cleanses it. Now, she'll either cleanse through fire, disease, famine. They just eat their own resources out, whatever. Um, but nature keeps her own balance. Now, a lot of people will say Earth and they say Gaia and they say all this stuff, and that's putting a name on something that I would just as soon stay formless. The only form that I dealt with in nature was the sentience of awareness within all things that were in that environment, which is usually like Yellowstone and that kind of thing. But I've done it all over the US. And that's what I mean by being in nature on nature's terms. Now, that's a choice I made as a child. But what does nature do when something overpopulates an area? She takes care of it. And it could be through disease, it could be fire, it could be, like I say, absence of food and they have to dissipate. It could be um, eliminating the food source, weather tragedy, whatever. Nature takes care of nature's balance. Humans don't have a say so in that. And that's where science people get pissed off. And it's also where a lot of my religious types get pissed off too. But it is the bottom line as I learned it, straight from her. Throughout history, no matter what, whenever there's too many, she takes care of it. And only an idiot would say that there's not too many human beings on this walking this planet right now. Now, while there are greater spiritual reasons that I've been shown, I didn't come here with an owner's manual. So, this is just what I've been shown. And I was shown it while I was out in nature. So, where a lot of people are dealing with fear, or not dealing with it, apparently, just like the environment, destroying the environment, human beings will not destroy this planet's capacity to support life. Period. It will not do it. We do not have that power. We will not ever have that power. What this planet does is this planet births. This planet brings forth life. That is what she does. That is her sentience. That is her dream song. It's what she's all about. Human beings have no say so in that. And they can make all the little 3-inch talismans to worship themselves that they want. They will never get to the point that they will remove that. I was shown this in a big way. And to me, it was a great relief because I kind of gave up on the species years ago, but I'm still worried about the planet, the Earth, because I have spent the greater portion of my life in the company of animals. I prefer them over people. And I was concerned about the animals and what are we going to leave and all that. And when that knowing came to me, I went seeking it. But when it came to me, it was a great relief. And that's how I offer it. Uh, this latest scare, as has been shown to me, because remember, I'm sick. I lay around watching anime, meditating, staring out at the Continental Divide, which is the western edge of the North American craton, tectonic plate, in a valley that is nothing short of a crucible, directly connected to the Yellowstone caldera, yada yada, blah blah blah. And I fucking know how to hook into nature. I did it in Missoula, even though that place is. Ugh. I did it over there. All I have to do is think about it. I don't have to go outside. I prefer it, but I don't have to because I did the years of work. Now, going through a few scenarios here. I have been around a long time. My ex and I taught survivalism. And believe me, there are some crazy fucking people in that. There are religious zealots who, if you collect bullets, I'd be watching them. They are crazier than shit. Very few of them, in teaching it for 10 years, very few of them are spiritually guided. They're religiously guided, but religion is not spiritual. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of them are just as dangerous as the bad guys. But I have been around a very long time. And I've known some of the bigger people in it, before they wrote their books and got extra famous, and knew them after, who was worth knowing. Um, so I know a lot. I made it my intention to find old people, find elders on the reservation, or just old people in the North Georgia mountains, in the, um, what is it? What do they call it? Arkansas? It's just one person will lead you to another, will lead you to another. It's how knowledge works. Um, and I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of skills and a lot of craft that I believed would be lost if something happened. If we lost, my legs are going to sleep. If we lost electricity, or if we lost, or if it just winds up there's just a few thousand of us instead of millions, I figured I would probably need to know things. So I can make weapons. I can track better than anybody I know. Now people have told me about Tom Brown and the Tom Brown courses, and I know somebody who did them. And he goes and does his 2 weeks, and so he comes back. He's a better tracker than me. I said, let's go out. And I showed him that you can't learn what I know in 2 weeks. I was 3 years old, and my dad was teaching me the difference between a dog track and a wild dog track. Um, so I've been tracking for a long time, and I told my students this and had to prove it sometimes. I can track a man in tennis shoes across a linoleum floor. I can track people online. I can track people through life, to the city, and I know when I'm being followed. And that was something that federal agents were like, "You are damn hard to follow." This is when something happened with my ex, and he got in a lot of trouble, and they had to determine whether I was a part of it, and they were like, "Oh, she is so not a part of that." Um, but federal agents said, "Holy shit, you're hard. You're hard to follow. You knew. You pegged every time you pointed right at," and I would get out of the car and I would just point at them going, "The fuck?" So anyway, I have a lot of earth skills, and I've been around this crowd for a long time. So I know about the conspiracy theories, but I also know about things like the Kennedy Eisenhower Population Commission, like 1962. I know a lot of things that aren't common knowledge, that aren't conspiracy theory. And just because it's not on the news or there's not a TV show about it doesn't mean it's not real. Um, And there was jokes about these scenarios, that survivalists would joke about it, these scenarios, and one of them was the UFO scenario, that everything will get really bad, and the UFOs will come down, and they'll either blame the UFOs for a massive die-off of population, or the UFOs will come down and, like, save everybody. Um, I think they fucked around with that and couldn't figured out they wouldn't be able to control it. Besides the fact that there's real ones, and they probably weren't real keen on the idea either. Um, the other there's been a lot of books written about it. The Stand, Stephen King, Kalki, Gore Vidal, uh, I think Dean Koontz wrote a couple of them. One of them was called Out of the Ashes by somebody, I think Johnstone. Those are those were like they were like if a high schooler read it or something. They weren't up to my standard, but there's a lot of books about it. Post-apocalyptic life, etc., etc. And I'm not so sure that these writers, didn't clue in, because there is a place that you go when you're writing, when you make art, that everything is common, and you pull from that common place and bring it into this world. I know that writers know about it. I know that artists know about it, and it looks like they're going to try to go with that. Now, being a child of the 70s, Growing up 14 years old watching Watergate with a dictionary because I didn't understand what was going on, I was just told by spirit to watch because it was important. I didn't even understand at 14. I was more worried about getting my period, but between that and being Southern, I don't have a whole lot of trust in social structure as it is. But, am I the only one who remembers? I wanna say around 2015, maybe 14, the CDC, somebody found this list by the CDC of how to survive the zombie apocalypse, and it was a big deal. I think people got fired over it. And they're like, "Oh, it was a joke, it was a joke." Well, by God, try to find it now. It's not online now. I'm not so sure that this right now, what everybody's so afraid of is the something that we've been waiting for. I am curious, and I suspect that what this is like a rehearsal. It says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. So um, let me post something and see if that opens it up. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. Da. Okay, fine. Nobody's up anyway, and I'll probably wind up editing it. I don't know. I doubt it. Okay. You know what? I won't edit this. I never edit anything. Um, I don't trust what we're being told. I have friends in China that I haven't heard from. I have heard from a couple. I have friends in New Zealand I haven't heard from. I have friends Eastern Europe in certain places I haven't heard from. Um, a couple of Middle Eastern places that I have not heard from in months. I have friends in Russia. I have friends China, like I said, Taiwan. Barbed wire is nothing if not connected. I have 2 friends in Italy that I've heard nothing out of, and I am pretty concerned about them. But we don't talk real often as it is, so, I'll give them another couple of weeks or so that there may be something going on. I'm not sure. I just do a check-in, and if they don't, then I email them. And after that, some of them I have their phone numbers. I'll fucking call them. So, I know without a doubt that this is not the time to be freaking out. Um, we are elders now. We're not kids. If anything, if you have been reading the sourced peer review type articles, we are the targeted demographic for this. They want to get rid of the old people. Now, why would they? Oh, could it be because they've spent all the Social Security and there's no money there? Could it also be because someone who has a lot of life experience is a threat to that kind of authority? Ah, now we're in 900 years worth of marginalizing, impoverishing, demonizing, excluding older women. Now, I can tell you, my sisters, that is not going to happen to us this time. They can do what they want. It's not going to happen this time. um, so I started out in the group that I started. Like I say, it's grown to over 500 people. It's hard to call it a group now, but just listing out things to have on hand, what to have on hand, what are your priorities? Because I used to teach this, except I taught it like in the desert or, I taught it all over the US, come to think of it. But, um, and the list just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, okay, this is just intimidating people. Let's do this. Um, as an older woman, this is who I'm talking to right now. You do have your three priorities. In a survival situation, your priorities are what? Water, shelter, food. Same. And we've got another one that is just as important when you get older, and that is medications. And then I went through this whole list of how to get them and all that, and what to put by. The stuff with the toilet paper just shows how divorced from reality this species actually is. Toilet paper. Seriously? And hoarding. Oh, me, mine. Hoarding is what caused this global poverty, and it is not our way out. And all the shit of the world is not going to change that. So, the list has been put on hold because I think it was up to like 6 pages. And I'm like, okay, hang on. Because I taught this for years and years, and I think of all these things, and I saw in the group that I was scaring these people. And there isn't time to be afraid, but you have to do what you have to do. And I'll do another video on that. Okay. Uh, Here's a little something from the Book of Barb. You can write this down if you'd like. He has been lying since the 1970s. He has not spoken a single word or sentence of truth in public. He is not going to suddenly start telling the truth now. So therefore, I don't even look at posts of anything about him. Nothing. I watch for CDC. I have friends who are microbiologists. A couple of them have PhDs. They do like really cool stuff. But they're scientists, which is not how a sorcerer thinks. And I go to them because they still have their university access, which I'll be getting back here shortly. And they can go check peer-reviewed material. And it's way easier just to message them, email them, and go, "What's this shit?" And they'll just write back and go, "Fuck that." And that's all I need. Your resource circle is your most important circle. So I could do a whole video just on preparation. I mean, I used to teach this. I mean, we used to take people out in the woods and we would teach them for like a week. So this would be like really, really condensing things because it's urban, or what I call urbane. But there are things that people my age are not thinking about. I'm looking at these older women groups, these crone groups, and um, elder women and other women oriented type groups, and there are things they are not thinking of. At the same time, I am not in Europe. I'm not in the UK. Now, I knew back when we were doing live streams during Occupy, I knew that the UK imports over 85% of their food and medicines. They don't make them there. And now their shelves are empty. I'm just seeing post after post from my friends in England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland. Empty shelves. It reminds me of rationing in pre Gorbachev USSR. the Soviet Union, they would be in line for toilet paper. If you gotta stand in line for toilet paper, how did you survive this long? Toilet paper is not your biggest worry. Your medication is. How to monitor your own system is. Your resource circle is. So I wrote preparation for Crohn's, and I might change this, but water, meds, food, amenities. Now, shelter, a lot of the Crohn's that I know do have shelter. I do know one who I'm worried about. She's been living in her truck. I'm worried about her. I haven't seen her. But and if you're watching this, contact me. God dang it. And she's up in Canada. No, it shocked me because I thought Canada was like so much better than us. Even though this is probably a rehearsal, the virus itself is very, very real. Whether it was manufactured or whether somebody didn't cook a snake right, I'm buying that. It doesn't matter. What matters right now is what we do. And I'm not seeing many people doing it. And that's what this is about. And I'm talking to you like a fellow warrior. Because there is one little small truth that I can't seem to get across. And that is nobody is coming to save us. Nobody ever has. All we have is each other. And that's speaking as elder women. If you want to dress it up and call it Crohn, then do that. Elderly. Baby boomers. However you want to cope with that. This generation. Nobody is coming to save us. And we are the targeted demographic. We were the targeted demographic for Medicaid Silver. And we are now. We have each other, and that is all we have. Now, if you go look through your house, you probably not like me, you probably haven't had ex-coworkers offer you a place to live in order to steal everything you own. Ex-husbands who steal everything you own. I mean, I've lost everything I own 9 times in this life. So I figure if I do have karma, materialistic tendencies might be the karma because I am definitely a minimalist now. But when you've had that happen to you this many times, you can definitely go, that could be karma. And you fucking learn how to survive. Or you sit around blaming people and get bitter and expect somebody else to take care of you. One or the other. One will make it, the other one won't. So I wanted to do another video just on community. In my lifetime, community has been lost in this country. I don't think it was lost as much as it was deliberately destroyed. And that's because I've seen a lot of documents that you guys haven't. But regardless, it doesn't exist anymore except in these little pocket universes. Where I am now is a community. Now, there's people flooding in here trying to, we're going to build $200,000 houses and we're going to, well, you go right ahead because you won't last here. If Butte doesn't like you, you don't stay in Butte. It's pretty much the fucking deal. But they're trying to take over everywhere. You know, we've got our own political problems with them trying to cut down all the forests and make big homes and lock poor people out. And we're like, do Did you see the sign when you came to the state? Do you know where you are? You live in Montana because you're invited. And if you're invited, can't nobody kick you out of here. Um, but the point is, nobody is going to show up at the last minute and say, okay, Congress, everybody out, we're doing everything up. That is not going to happen. From what I've seen, just political people, even the women, the political women get behind women without a radical change of thinking. You're just voting in the same thing that's always been there in drag. It's the same money, the same dark money, the same invisible puppeteers. It's just two wings of the same bird. And now it would be two wings of the same bird in drag. So, where I don't think there's time for us to come together across all disciplines, across all systems of knowledge, et cetera, because many women, while they claim to be spiritual and they claim to be religious leaders, they are still steeped in that run amok masculine energy that is destroying us. It's the same energy. You aren't going to fix a problem using the system that caused it. And you aren't going to fix the problem in a female body running a man's show. That could be its own video. Trust me in this. Okay, point number 5. Right now, people are scared. Scared people are dangerous people. Scared people are not rational. Scared people are selfish. They're cruel. And frankly, they're why, for many years, I didn't care what happened to the species. I was into what happened to the earth. But nothing is nastier than someone whose beliefs are challenged. That's from the Book of Barb, and you may quote me. Nothing is nasty. Now, that doesn't mean nothing is more ferocious. It's nothing is nastier. Expect to see a lot more of that. I went with my adopted sister, Jay. I call her Jay. They've said I could say their names and all that, and that's fine. But we went to Walmart, and we went on a Sunday night because she has chronic illness. I have chronic illness. I didn't want to deal with a bunch of fucking people. I wanted to be able to keep my hand sanitizer because, believe me, I am really, really susceptible because part of what's wrong with me is autoimmune disease. And I can catch something at 100 yards that other people are like, no, you have to breathe this. I said, fuck you. I've got it, don't I? So we decided to go at night. It was Sunday night. And what should have been an hour trip, I mean, we plot. I mean, you could play Wagner, the Valkyrie, because we are like, here we go, we're going to get our shit. You know, we are the Viking women. We're about to pillage and get the supplies. We do this first of every month. And then we get in the door and we're fucking Lucy and Ethel. And thank God she's rational. She is. She can be right brain. She can calculate things. She doesn't have this calculus. And she could say, no, this is a better savings. Let's see my cat litter. That's empty, by the way. I save those. And because I'm just like, hey, that's cool. Oh, that's a good thing. And then she calculates what is a better buy, et cetera, et cetera. I just push the cart. I'm the most amiable. What did I say? I'm the most accommodating person that I've ever been when I'm with her when we're shopping. I'm just like, okay, We don't need it. Oh, no, I like this. We do need this. Or she'll turn around and she'll go, you need this. And it's something like really cool. And I'm like, you're right. I do need it. Lucy and Ethel. But we do some amazing shit shopping. So if you have a shop buddy, this is time to team up. So we go to Walmart. Now, this is Butte, America. This is not a big city. This is a town that thinks it's still a big city, but there's probably 28,000, maybe 30,000 people living here, and I doubt they're all here at the same time. And it's Sunday night, and it's Walmart, and it says like 8 o'clock at night or something. I think she said we were there for 2 hours. I think we were there for 4 hours. The shelves are empty. Toilet papers, paper towels, hand sanitizer, ibuprofen, gone. Pain relievers, gone. Allergy medicine, gone. And I was just like, idiots. They're fucking idiots. Now, granted, this Walmart serves a few outlying towns, but that doesn't excuse people being fucking idiots. And like I say, if you have lived this long and you can't get by without toilet paper, you don't deserve to survive. The point is we also had to deal with the people there restocking. Now, I found out they're not necessarily Walmart employees. They were rude, made us get out of the way so they could do their shit. Which I was 30-something years in customer service. There's a whole bunch of stuff I will not fucking put up with in a store. I don't care what you're getting paid. If I had to put up with it for $4.50 an hour, you can fucking put up with it for 8. And I will call your shit on that. But so many shelves were empty. Others were blocked off by these big pallets of shit. And nobody would help. Nobody would reach for anything. This bitch is nearly 6 feet tall. I will climb up and get my own shit. I ain't scared of them people. My sister, my adopted sister, is far more. She's far more accommodating than I am that way because I'm not a nice person. I'm a good person, and I'm a fair person, and I'm honest as shit. But I'm not nice. People who have done the worst shit in the world to me have been nice people. They use it like a credit card. Oh, but they're so nice. Oh, let them get away with fucking you over. No, I don't do that. So, looking through that and seeing the panic. I mean, you could just see the empty shelves show the panic. So I thought I would put it out here, and then I'll put it out in the group also. I was raised by healers. I grew up on the macrobiotic diet. My mother taught yoga in the 1960s. I knew pressure points in the 1960s. I got taught TM. I think I was 8.5. I was not allowed to have an aspirin until I had done a posture and the appropriate pressure points. So for most of my adult life, I have been, fuck that, give me the chemistry, give me a pill, because I had to put up with that shit and drinking teas of weeds and sticks. But that does not mean that I don't know about it, because I fucking do. Now, I've met with some people who, a couple of them I would like to find again. One was a Native woman. She had her own line of products, and it had just come out. But we talked about talking to the plants and all that, and I was taught that as a kid. And I didn't know. I was taught that it was something you didn't talk about. But at the same time, I thought everybody else was getting taught it too, and they were taught not to talk about it too. And that's not true. I was taught infusions, decoctions, poultices, herbs, mostly local plant stuff. My aunt was a very famous hands-on laying on of hands healer. She lectured at the University of Dahlonega. This is a woman with a 4th grade education who taught school and was a well-known healer all up and down the Blue Ridge, and this is who I spent time with. I learned about teas, and I learned about different medicines, when to gather, all that kinda stuff. It was just part of being up there, at her place. The first thing we did when we came to Montana 30 years ago next year, was got up, went to Hastings and bought some books, but I had already bought field guides and all that, and I learned the local plants. And this is we moved to Bozeman first, well, Gallatin Gateway, but that's where we moved first. I spent 11 years or more over there. We learned the Rocky Mountain plants, and then we went out and found them, like Arnica montana. When does that flower, when does that grow? Where do you find it? I learned what grows around me, what it's used for, and how to use it, because Georgia, I mean, you can eat Georgia. I mean, or you could before they paved it, but I grew up, you could eat my whole yard, and they call it permaculture. My dad called it making wine, but you could eat my entire yard. And um, I have a wealth of knowledge about that. Um, and I know how to make medicines. I can make, like I say, I can make infusions, decoctions, concoctions. I can make teas, poultices, emergencies, bandages, etc. I took an EMT course to learn how to do temporary stitches and how to stabilize broken bones, because I took women way the fuck out in the woods and taught them how to be in the woods. I needed to know emergency stuff before cell phones were invented that would reach that far back. I could do videos on that if people are interested in that, because I noticed going online, you go to these herb sites, whatever, medicinal plants. These people would have you believe that this cures this and that and cures it. This and that and this and that and blah, 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 and this does that and this does that. And when your power goes out, it resets the clock on your microwave too. I'm here to tell you they kind of don't. But I do know a lot of stuff that does work. I went a year on the Montana Silver without any medication whatsoever. No doctor would see me, not even paying cash. And this was 2015 through 2016. No medication, advanced thyroid disease, and I didn't die. I know what I'm doing. Also, I'm a quarter Irish. I call it my left leg. If you have to cut it into, break it into things, then my left leg is Irish, and I will be goddamned if people like that are going to determine whether I live or die. Fuck that and fuck them. I'm just Irish enough to be ornery enough that it is going to take a whole lot more than a piece of paper to kill me. I'll die when I'm ready and not before. I've earned that, and you've earned that. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, we'll talk about it in the group. And I could do videos. I still have a wish list. I still need a camera, a video camera that I can point at what I'm doing. I have a phone that I could like upload somehow. Not sure how that works yet, but that phone doesn't have a case, so it won't fit the tripod, etc., etc. It'd just be easier to have the little plug-in, the little stupid fucking video camera like R2D2, and I just point it, and then it's not looking at me, and then I won't get distracted making videos. So if you're interested in that kind of videos, dude, I could do 20 or 30 at least. um, gathering plants, where to find them, how to talk to them, how to make the shit, and things that are already probably in your house or in your yard that will more than likely save your life that you're not allowed to know about because somebody's got to make money selling you some kind of herbal bullshit from Tibet. And if you're sick where you are, okay, story time, old story time. In the beginning of all things, here, the Creator did not speak to humans in a direct way. He sent the plants and the animals. And through the plants and the animals are how we communicate with the Creator. Humans, plants are the firstborn, they are the eldest. It is always the duty of the eldest and the honor of the eldest child to help raise the younger children. Secondborn are the animals. Thirdborn, the youngest, are humans who must learn our place in this world from our elder ancestors and our elder brothers and sisters, the plants and the animals. So, in the beginning of all things, the plants and the animals, they all got along fine. Humans show up. And the animals weren't keen on having to be eaten by this new creature that was so messy and so floundering in the earth table, the mother's table. And so the animals got together and they went, okay, we're going to get rid of these. All right, I'm the bear. And what I'm going to do is I got these teeth and I got these claws. And I'm going to tear them apart when they come where I am. And other animals joined in on that. I am the great cats. I can hunt them and I can feed them to my children. And it just kind of goes down the predator list. I will do this and I will help eliminate them all the way down to certain snakes and insects who aren't really ever included in the animal circles because not all insects are from here. Well, the plants, the flowering nations, and the standing nations, the trees, heard this. So after they went off to do their bear, lion, weasel, Wolverine thing, deer said, I'll continue to give away for them because they are a child of the Earth Mother. Buffalo said the same thing and said, I'll fuck you up. You come out in my circle when I'm giving away. There was a bit of a war amongst the animals about those who were to help the youngest born, the humans, and those who were against them and wanted to get rid of them. And so after they went off to go do their thing and develop in their ways, whatever, the plant nations came together and said, I am so and so, and I don't like them either, and so I'm going to be toxic to them, and I will poison them if they try to eat me. But there were a tribe of plants who were holding their space as the eldest and said, if let's say if snake is going to bite these new children and harm them, I am a child of the mother first. I will become medicine for that person. I will become a cure for that bite. And then another flower picked up and said, well, if they're going to get bitten by these insects, then I will give my flowers to make them better. Standing nations, if this is how they're going to treat these children, what they need to learn is how to be in balance. I am the great cedar. My smoke, I offer my smoke and my body to warm them, and the smoke of my body to help balance them so they may learn, etc., etc. Now, I remember getting told this as a little bitty kid, and I got told it way better than I just told it. But I was also taught about the little people who are why those plants are healing plants and those herbs are healing herbs. Um, so when we moved up here, first thing I did was bought some books on the see what grows up here. I mean, in Georgia, a bird flies over and you're like, oh, a blue jay. Okay, I think that means da 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 da. Up here in Montana, bird flies over, it's a fucking eagle. There ain't no doubt what that bitch's medicine is. So it's like, yes, yes. It's like all the medicine animals are capital letters. Well, the plants up here are capital letters too. That's what I love about Montana. Nature makes you pay attention. See, that's what these trustafarians moving up here, bringing all their urban filth with them. They don't get that, and they won't get it. So I know a lot of that kind of stuff. And I met one other woman in all these years. One other woman knew about going out and talking to the plants, and she called it. What did she call it? I think she called it an herb walk or something. Her name was Tarona Walker. I don't remember her tribe. And she had a line of like drops, and some were decoctions, some were infusions, some were with alcohol, tinctures. And she and I talked a bit after we did a weekend with her, and she and I talked a bit after that. She's like, you already know a lot of this, and I was like, yeah, but you're way more fun to hang out with than my family. But yeah, I know how to make tinctures, and I know how to make essences the old way. And if you want to know about that kind of stuff, drop me a line, whatever, and I'll come up with some things. It's going to be spring here. We could go out and gather. I've got some stuff that I gathered. It's from Missoula, but it's still it's worthwhile. Obviously, it's going to be Western plants, but it's also teas and that kind of stuff too. We're going to need that, and it's not going to reset your clock when the power goes out. They have their place and they have their uses. And I'm very pragmatic about that. I don't make a lot of fucking claims about it. I don't, oh, this has to be this and it has to be this size and it has to be in this. I'm used to doing it in a camper. When somebody is outside and they're fucking hurt, you're 15 miles in the woods and you can't hike out with this person. That's how I know how to do it on a campfire. So there's nothing wrong with how I do it because shit works. So if that's something that interests you and talk about it, you can let me know. About Facebook. I was so excited when the internet was new. I'm talking 94, 95. I was so fucking excited. Because I was like, holy God, we can talk in real time. We can share with no borders, et cetera, et cetera. And they've done everything they can to turn it into a TV station, which is why I'm not keen on what YouTube is doing. It's not a TV station. And if it turns into one, I'll go somewhere else. But I do watch a lot of anime here. I had such great hopes for the internet. And the dark energies have done nothing but hammer and hammer and hammer away at it to turn it into yet another fucking catalog, a TV station. They even call these things channels. It's still a venue right now. It's still open to anyone right now. There are other venues. Facebook. Instagram, Instagram is too immature for me. That's just me being honest. It's too immature. It's too commercial. I don't want to be a commercial. I don't want to be famous. I never wanted to be famous. I have always run from that. Twitter used to be a really cool place to hook up with 25 words or less. It was kind of fun. It was a challenge for me. Now it's just Facebook with 25 words or less. You can't even see the people you want to see. And what is all that? Separation. And I see it in Facebook. And that's why I stick with the groups that I'm in. Several of them, I created them. But I stick with the groups that I'm in. And I stay off my own newsfeed for the most part because it's all politics. It's all fear, flash and fear and vote and be scared. And then that shit doesn't have any power over me anymore. You spend 4 years doing everything you can not to die and not to be killed, and you would be amazed how that puts shit in perspective for you. But I do see it. And I will occasionally jump into something just because I'm like, I went to my first protest, I was like 13, so, you know, I'm an old dog at this. I was doing sit-ins as a teenager. I was laying out of school and doing sit-ins when they were trying to build subdivisions over. They find an Indian burial mound, and my ass was out there in the 70s. No, so that's the 80s, in North Georgia, going toe to toe, and or to the law firm. La, la. I've been doing this for a long time. So with me, some of it is the old racehorse hearing the bugle, and I'll jump right in. The other aspect is that part of me that just loves to mix it up every now and then. I just love to get in people's faces sometimes. I just like it. To me, I don't have it. To me, it's kind of like a sport. I don't take it personally, but I will go in and straighten shit out big time. And I don't start fights, but I have a tendency to end them. I am followed by all the local news stations. One of the people who stole content off my computer he hated that. He hated that I was recognized on Imager. And he tried to steal my identity. And I think, best I know, he had to change his name because he's that much of a lowlife. Russell Homan, you piece of shit. But, and yes, SAG does know about you. You're welcome. Anyway, like I say, to me, it's sport. To other people, I did a post in this group that I'm in. I don't even know how many. Just say 20,000 older women, like witches, druids. There's warriors, and not that many of us. Ain't no sorcerers that I know of. Nobody will own it anyway. You know, Wiccans, whatever. And they're crones. We're crones. And the fact that we're coming together, to me, is the moment of power. Whether they will be able to drop their affectations remains to be seen. So far, I haven't seen it. I've tried. I did try. But like I say, wise men didn't show up when I got born, so it ain't my job. I have ideas. I don't stick around to do the dishes. So we did a few things that I called a monthly working. And that was, I just posted it for a full moon. Okay, here's what we did. You do whatever your discipline says. You follow your guidance. There's a thing that we used to call, I was taught by one of my teachers, it's called Witecha. Witecha, I think, is a Dakota word. I'm not sure if it's Lakota. I'm pretty sure he was Dakota. But Witecha is literally taking a plate from going, like, to dinner with someone, and you share something and you know that you've received knowledge from this person. You literally take a plate home with you and you put it on the back burner of your stove. You literally put it on your stove. That is your witecha. And that means I'm digesting what I received from you as food for my spirit. And then you give them the plate back and you tell them what you learned. That's witecha. And you see what I mean? They got like one little word and it takes 10 minutes to explain it. Mostly among a white culture who doesn't share anything. But along those lines, I was shown and then went in the group and said, let's try a little monthly something. Do your thing, do your candles, whatever, do Orisha stuff, do your voodoo, do whatever it is that speaks to your soul. But in that working, consciously connect yourself to all the other women of power who are also crones, who are also engaging in their discipline, their acknowledgement of full moon, doing their rituals, ceremonies, whatever, and keep that connection. And the way I saw it was like this gossamer cobwebs of light amongst older women out, acknowledging the moon, acknowledging the season, acknowledging the earth. And we're raising energy and we're putting it into the dirt, into the planet, because nobody else is. Everybody else is sucking it dry. Let's do something fucking different. Let's put it back. Let's put in spirit. That's what we do. That's what crones do. So I tried to get that to catch on. Immediately, it turned into, oh, this is wicked. I go to those other sites. I go to those other groups and I see them. I had this great idea. I don't care who fucking says they came up with it. I really don't. The earth doesn't either. But you would be amazed how few out of a group of, I don't even know, something. I think back then it was like 9,000 women. You would be amazed how few actually would do it. Oh, they would do their stuff and they would talk about it, but they wouldn't do the coming together thing, the Wachecha. If we can't do that, we're doomed. Now, we're the elders. If we can't do it, we can't expect anybody else to do it. Because if we can't do it, we can't teach it. I think a lot of people who are into spiritual practices and stuff, I know for me personally, quite a few of those circles were basically women who like to dress up, get drunk, pretend to do something, speak like Endora for like 30 minutes, and then go around and chase other women's husbands or sit around and badmouth the younger women. Now, to me, that didn't even qualify as holy, much less religious or sacred. But that is the naked truth about a lot of the groups that I found years before our harmonic convergence and all that stuff. So I know that a lot of that has not changed. And I see it in that way that I see things. But I'll keep posting, here's this ceremony, this is, what I'm thinking, do whatever you do. But if we can't come together as a generation of elder women and women of power, what that partly tells me that we can't is that a lot of those women don't really believe what they're saying. Some of them are in it for the affectation. Others are in it, like I said in the beginning of this video. They read books about it and, oh, that's me now. So I go out and I get the look. I wear the right dress, the right fabrics. I carry the right crystals. I say the right things, which I used to say dress like a shepherd and talk like a librarian and say namaste a lot. Um, it's not a fashion. It never was a fashion. It's the same thing I was saying about politics. It's just doing the same shit in drag. Now, granted, a lot of those older religions were lost. They were taken, they were destroyed, literally burned out of people. True. This is true. But I know something about knowledge. Knowledge cannot be lost, it can be discarded. The keepers of knowledge can be destroyed, but knowledge cannot be lost. And when it is time for that knowledge to serve the people, it will reappear. What I see in looking at these groups, first I must say I see a lot of really sincere human beings who have been self-taught, who have walked their path alone, who are naturally dyed in the wool, cautious about sharing themselves, et cetera, et cetera. No blame for any of that. But I also see entrepreneurs, fashionistas, and we don't have time for that. So I tried to do this thing, just whatever, because I don't care who takes credit from it. If somebody famous has to be, oh, that's mine, I came up with it, fine. If you can fucking make it happen, I don't fucking care. I'm in it for the earth. So about this does come back around to social media. If you are incapable of insulating yourself from that constant electronic barrage, that mass hypnosis of intimidation, turn it the fuck off. Now, a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, when I called for help, she drove all the way from Big Arm, never met me in person in her life, moved my shit out. There I was, congestive heart failure. I couldn't even breathe with all this going on. She picked up my shit, put it in her truck, and took me to her house. Friend for life. Her name is Crystal. I love her to death. She posted something, and I wanted to read it. If I could find it. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is something to think about. As I said, I consider Seth my first teacher. This is from some of the Seth books. This is something she and I have in common. People who follow Seth are few and far between anymore. It was hard enough in the 70s. She posted, one of my favorite teachers had this to say about viruses. So-called harmful viruses are ever present within the body. You are very rarely vulnerable to any, but a small percentage, though you carry within you traces of the most deadly of them all the time. Viruses themselves undergo transformations completely unsuspected by medical men. If one virus disappears and another is found, it is never suspected that the first may have changed into the second, and yet, through certain alterations of quite natural character, such is the case. So, viruses can be beneficial or deadly according to the condition, the state, and the needs of the body at any given time. Now, this is from Jane Roberts' Seth book, The Nature of Personal Reality, Chapter 7, Session 631, December 18th, 1972. As I say, I've been around for a very long time. The viruses in the body have a social, cooperative existence. Their effects become deadly only under certain conditions. Viruses must be triggered into destructive activity, and this happens only at a certain point when the individual involved is actively seeking either death or a crisis situation biologically. This is from The Individual and the Nature of Mass Events, Chapter 6, Session 840, March 12th, 1979. I've been looking for a copy of that book here lately. To a certain extent, underlined, epidemics are the result of a mass suicide phenomenon on the parts of those involved. Biological, sociological, or even economic factors may be involved, in that, for a variety of reasons and at different levels, whole groups of individuals want to die at any given time, but in such a way that their individual deaths amount to a mass statement. This is also The Individual and the Nature of Mass Events, Chapter 1, Session 802, April 25th, 1977. Seth asserted in The Individual and the Nature of Mass Events that epidemics represent mass despair, which is the true cause of the epidemic. He asserted the natural state of the body is one of health. Seth is the disembodied spiritual entity who, in the 1960s, made one simple statement that put everybody on their ear and pissing themselves, and that includes the Casey people. And that was, you create your own reality. There is no other rule. So Seth was my first teacher. He's worth looking up. He's worth checking out at the library. There's a lot of Seth videos. There's even Seth. They even read Seth books. One thing that I saw Deepak Chopra has taken over that Seth said in the 70s, and that is, individuals as a collective community will create natural disasters in order to experience certain things together or to leave together. And that's directly what Seth talked about. And I don't think anybody talked about it before that. I know Casey didn't. So, what it boils down to, community. What doesn't exist anymore in this nation is community. You have to think back. Well, you don't have to, but I mean, think back to when you were a kid. What did you get away with when you were a kid? Most of us grew up in suburbs, right? Some form of suburbs. Depends on how big your lots were and stuff. Ours were huge with woods and stuff, but still. What did you get away with as a kid? Not a damn thing. That's what. There was no internet. There was no wireless. There was one mother getting on the phone and talking to another mother. And by God, by the time my mother got home, it was time for probably a beating. But they knew because they watched out for their kids. That's community. I could do an entire video just on creating community. I do it everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. So that's one of the videos I want to make. So I'm making a list of them. And wow, it's been an hour and 38 minutes. Still less than a movie. Community only exists in certain pockets, like I said before, throughout the country. The rest of it is this bullshit that every city here in Butte, Montana, Uptown Butte, unique, individual. It was designed to look like Dublin, and it does. You go down on the flats, it looks like any other city anywhere else. All the bullshit stores, the bullshit $200,000 houses, all the bullshit. Just like anywhere else. Uptown is unique because it still exists. Couldn't destroy it, and they have tried. And it runs like a community. It's always the same people in charge of things. the same time, it's also the same people who think they're in charge of things while other people actually get shit done. And that's who I'm hooked in with here. These are people who went to kindergarten together, went to first grade, they went all through school together, Catholic or Protestant. Um, they've known each other all their lives. They may have gone off, they're a lot of them are engineers, a lot of them are miners, they've gone and lived in other countries, but they come back because this is where they're from. Now, where I grew up, it's paved. I mean, the house is still there. They cut down all the trees. Nobody knows anybody. It's not a community. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous, but it's a community. Community starts. You don't go out and find one. That community starts with you because we're the only ones who remember what a neighborhood is. We're the only ones who remember what going to school with the same kids all through school. We're the only ones who remember that. We're the only ones who can recreate it. And this and other things, I believe, is why we are the targeted demographic. Because it's not going to be a successful coup d'etat if there's even one woman of power sitting back with wisdom and knowledge. And I happen to know there's thousands just in this country. Many are afraid to speak up. I hope they will find their courage. Because what we're dealing with is opposition from our own group, from our own generation. You've got older women, like in Facebook recently, I've seen quite a few posts. So and so was my mentor, they were my teacher, they're my boss at work, whatever. I'm going to have to unfriend them because they're telling me what I can and cannot post. They're telling me when I can post, they're telling me what I can say. And this is somebody I used to look up to, blah, blah, blah. And they're upset about it. And I thought a lot about that because that always happens with a mentor. It always does. And a good teacher rejoices when your student outgrows you. It's hard to remember to be a good teacher. However, these are not always spiritual situations. Some of this situation is work. Some of the situation is, things that are not necessarily spiritual. And just because somebody is a mentor doesn't mean that they're flexible. There will always be an area that they're incapable of growing. What I see reading through posts on Facebook, just believe me, I have a pretty wide slash of society, whatever. Women my age, whether they have lived a spiritual life outside the norm on the lunatic fringe, nobody went where I went, but still, they're scared. They're scared fucking shitless. And some of the reason I can see why, some of these women were indoctrinated in public school, and girls do this, and we wear pink, and we play with Barbie, and you wear dresses, and you wear high heels, and you stay skinny, and you have this hair, and you act this way, and you do it to get a man, and then this man, and you have kids, and he takes care of you, the whole bit, the whole brainwashing thing. They did everything that they were indoctrinated to do, and they're watching it crumble. They might be lying about it saying, "No, I'm gonna stick with my man and what my man says." Well, if they're doing that, they're financial reasons first. No, there's nobody who doesn't see what's going on. I am assured of this. These women are afraid, and they're afraid because all their lives, all they've built for their security is what they were told to do. And yes, they're gonna attack anyone who speaks outside of that security. The problem is, I went into nature, and one of the first things I learned, one of the first things that I learned, safety, security do not exist in nature, not among plants, not among animals. It does not exist. Safety, security are man made idea constructs. They do not actually exist. And there's a whole bunch of people about to learn that in a big fucking way. And they are not going to be pretty about it. The other group, like I say, not all teachers are like, yay, you passed me, woohoo. Now, whenever I took on students, I never took on students. My attitude was always, am I in a place where I can take on 6 or 8 teachers? Because I always walked away learning more than all of them put together. And here in the last 20 years or so, I'm like, let me think about it. No, I don't want 20-something new students. I don't feel like getting taught the same thing 20-something times again. Not all teachers are like that. Not all teachers or mentors are willing to kick that person loose either, because they get their identity from being, superior to somebody else. And it's not always, dark, but it's not always pretty either. And these women are watching their preconceived ideas crumble day by day. Something someone said to me years ago, people know what they are. That is one of the most profound truths that was ever said to me, and it took me years and years and years to see it and understand it. But she was right. People do know what they are. So, yeah, these women are going to be striking out at anyone who challenges that preconceived notion, that belief structure. And it doesn't matter if it's a teacher or a mentor or a spiritual leader or other means of authority, such as social structure, political. It doesn't matter. Challenge it. And they're going to jump in your shit with both feet. And they're going to jump you before they jump the one who is actually causing the trouble. How to deal with that? Well, number one, you have to own, I'm the student and I think I've outgrown you. It's not even outgrown, because that gets into this and that's the guy thing and that's my dad could be up your dad and I win, I win. That's masculine energy. That is not sacred feminine. It's more this. I have learned what I needed to learn, and now I am being drawn to what I do next. It may not include that woman, may not include that person. There are some females that I would not piss on if they were on fire. But there are others who are just ignorant. They're not willfully ignorant. The willfully ignorant who do dark things, who deliberately cause harm, I have no time for, and I make quick work of. But that's just me, and that's my medicine. It's understanding that people are afraid. And you can't swing a dead cat without hearing somebody, oh, an animal smells when you're afraid, or nothing is more dangerous than a frightened animal. Trust me, something is more dangerous than a frightened animal. And that's a frightened human. And there's a lot of that going around right now. So that brings us back to number one. Calm the fuck down. Now, the only way I mean, it was literally probably a dozen posts. People in different countries don't see each other, they don't know each other. They're all women. Some are professionals, being called out by a former teacher, mentor, someone they looked up to because they're posting their political, social, whatever thoughts. And all the way down to taking more and more control, trying to control what they post. Don't say those things, you know. Um, that part was consistent across the board. Coming in and saying, you shouldn't say that. Um, and then all the way down to telling them what they should or shouldn't post. That's control. Control is fear, nothing else. It's fear. The only way to meet that is with force. And I don't mean force. You know, I mean, I said this the other day and I had this huge discussion with someone about this. But a martial arts master from Japan taught me this. The only way to counteract violence is through force. Now, violence, we know, slamming up against you, it's vicious, it's, violent. It's masculine. Um, it is also not force. Pushing back is not force against violence. That's just pushing back. Force is understanding and trusting and knowing the power of love. There is no greater force that can be shot through humans than love. And it's not like, oh, be my boyfriend, or oh, talk soft and have little hearts and flowers. No. Love is also the mother who won't bail your ass out of jail, who will let you sit there for a few days to learn. Love is the parent who jumps in front of the bus to pull their kid out of the way and dies themselves. Love is the natural aggression of this biological conglomeration of substance that houses spirit, forcing its way out of a shell in the darkness beneath the dirt and pushing itself toward a light that it trusts is there. That's love. An entire forest burning to ashes. And within 90 days, shoots of green showing on charred stalks of trees. Death gives life. That is love. Sacred breath. That is love. An open spirit gate where another being comes and tries on the body that your body is building. And you don't have to do anything other than eat okay and don't poison yourself. That is love. As a species, we don't even understand what love is. We lay all this human 20th century Vogue magazine bullshit on top of it, or religious guilt trip shit, without ever going to the trouble to examine what is love. Love is the greatest force in the multiverse. It is the greatest force of the infinite. Love is the light. And it's not boyfriend, girlfriend, guy dominating the female and us staying skinny and pretty and tiny and small so that they'll accept us. That's not love. And I'm not sure we have time to learn it. I am sure that over 90% of those walking the planet right now won't bother. But if you're going to counteract violence in your immediate area, you do that by walking out your front door. And you walk to the next apartment down the hallway, the next house on the street, the next trailer in the parking lot. How are you doing? My name's Barb. I brought these. I live right here. I live alone. And I watch out for your place. And if I see something weird, I'm going to call and report it, but I'm going to check with you first. And I hope you'll do that for me. Here on this street, A, the guy who came and saved me, he shovels the walks. And I'm talking this street is like this. He shovels the walks. The next door neighbor mows the little front yard in the summer. Another one has a greenhouse and brings over stuff they grow in there. And then back here they have a greenhouse. The people know each other. They don't know each other by first name yet, because I'm just getting here. But they do look out for each other here. That's what a community is, and that's how it starts with us. Trust life. Clean house. Be of service. Everywhere I've ever lived, I lived 2 streets over, moved into an apartment that was a known crack house. All of them were gone within the first 60 days that I lived there. I can make the air unbreathable for certain people. It was something I learned from my mother. But I also went up and down the street and met every neighbor up and down the street. I live here and I don't do drugs. We got to know each other, looked out for each other. I moved into the apartments, all on the floor where I live. Hey, I live here, this apartment. It's not cool to bother me a lot, but I'm around. I can do things. I do this, I don't know. And if I hear a bunch of shit going on, rest assured, I may not come knock on your door, but I will definitely, get somebody up here who will. And we look out for each other that way. It turned into, do you have coffee creamer? Yeah, I have creamer. I bought too much of this. Do you want some of this? Sometimes it starts like that. Community begins with you, not with somebody else, not with moving into one. Begins with you. And some of the loneliest, most isolated people I have ever seen are what I see moving up here, buying these $200,000 ranchettes and trying to turn Montana into Los Angeles. Those are some of the emptiest souls I have ever seen. I have no idea. No idea. And we don't have time to feel sorry for them. So it begins your front step. It begins the end of your nose. Your nose. Nobody else's nose. Yours. Because nobody's coming to save us. Nobody. We have each other. And that's all we have. So now, 1 hour, 59 minutes. Fucking nobody's watching this. I don't blame you. I hope you cut it up into bits or whatever. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I needed to say a lot of that. And that will pretty much be a guideline for March of what these videos are going to be. Now you can leave a message here, you can leave a message down there, or if you're in the Crone group that I made, you can leave me a message there. You can message on Facebook. My Facebook is locked up pretty tight because those people that I turned in, like I say, I turned in a screen save so long it took 3 screen saves. I think I lost count at over 47 false identities they're making on Facebook to try to see what I'm posting. Facebook goes, yeah, that's called stalking. Oh, good, thank you. But they're also taking these false identities and they go through games. And because certain games you can't play unless you take on everybody else's friends, then they go through those friends or their fake name and they'll try to friend my friends so that they can see what I'm posting on Facebook. I fucking tell you to your face, you're in a lot of shit. Um, End of. Uh, no sense stalking me on Facebook. You already did it. I kept a journal. So the point is, it's not that easy to get to me on Facebook, but you can. I mean, it's doable. I don't take new friends unless I thoroughly investigate the account. But yeah, you can find me there. There's a huge group of Crohn's. It's called oh my god, I forgot. I just went totally blank on the name of the group. It's called the Defiant Crone, and it's one of the biggest ones. It has I'm looking right now. Let's see. As of 4:36 a.m. on Saturday the 14th, it has am I looking? 17,768 members. Now, there are other Crone groups different from this one that have close to that many. Now, to me, I do post there, but I know that them and their false identities are in there also, and so do the administrators. I sent them the screenshots as well. I don't post there as often because this other group that I made is more along the lines of what I was looking for in a group. Duh, I made it. So, anyway, I am findable on Facebook. You just might have to work at it a little bit. And I will cut this up into those different videos. I don't know if I'll cut this up, but if you're still listening, holy fuck, get a life. And thanks. Let's see, I gotta open that window again. Rhinestone Seahorse, Queen of Kitsch. Check it out for a while, and I'll talk to you again in a day or so. Good night.